I just saw The Invite. I watched this with my parents. I think this is a great film to watch with your parents. It is about a couple having a dinner party and they have guests over and they are offered an invitation. What they're offered an invitation to do, I'm not going to say. This film is hysterical. It's very uncomfortably funny. It's a kind of cringe comedy, maybe arguably a dark comedy. I would say it's closer to a cringe comedy. We have a stacked cast here. We've got Edward Norton, we've got Seth Rogen, Penelope Cruz, and Olivia Wilde, all of whom are really good in this. This is technically the 5th remake of the 2020 film The People Upstairs, also called Sentimental, in Spain. Every remake has been made in a different country, but this is the first English US remake. I have not seen the other versions, but from what I read from people who have seen them, they like this one the best. I'm not that surprised because this is a very dialogue, acting-driven film, and we have an excellent cast here. This reminds me a lot of The Drama, which is currently my favorite film of the year. I actually think this would make a really compelling companion case to it. Both of these films force a lot of uncomfortable questions on you, especially if you're in a relationship. They're ones that are going to, force you to think about yourself and your life and your relationship with others. And I think that's what good art should do. It should be transgressive and it should make you uncomfortable and it should have something to say. And this absolutely does that. By the end of the film, there were definitely moments in my own life that I was thinking about and revisiting. And there's some things I was wondering if maybe I should have gone about a little bit differently. When good art actually challenges you, it kind of compels you to want to change in certain ways. The trailers and marketing for this film kind of suggest that it will be about a certain thing. It is kind of about what you probably think it's about, but it's also not about that at all. It's about something much bigger than that, and that's just kind of a vehicle that we don't even really go into. It's more the aesthetic and mold around which we challenge our characters through. My theater was not packed when I saw this. There was maybe 10 other people there, but I did hear laughter throughout the entire film. I don't know if we ever went more than a minute or two without someone audibly laughing. This is a very dialogue-driven film. It is mostly characters talking. Almost the entire film takes place over one night. That being said, it is full of visual storytelling. Olivia Wilde has made a great return here after her film Don't Worry, Darling, which I didn't hate, but I definitely didn't love. Here, though, I feel there's a very clear directorial voice. You can see there's a lot of intent behind how she framed her shots and how she blocked the actors. This isn't written by her. It's an adapted script that was rewritten by others. But there's a lot here that only works because of how much intent was put into those choices with framing and blocking. The film actually starts with a quote by Oscar Wilde, who I did not realize Olivia Wilde stole her surname from in high school. Admittedly, I would probably change my last name too if it was Cockburn. Thankfully, I have a perfectly normal last name that's not representative of any other weird thing. This film slowly introduces us to our characters. We meet Seth Rogen's character, who works as a band teacher, and we see him on his daily routine getting home. We also see Olivia Wilde's character setting up a dinner party, which will come up into play as that's where most of our story takes place. And we see her routine doing this. And we slowly learn these characters until Seth Rogen's character gets home, and we see how they interact, and that informs us a lot about the relationship. And every single thing that happens throughout this entire film will inform you about the relationship. These guys essentially are written in a way specifically to challenge them. These guys both have arcs of their own as well. They're certainly not flat characters either. But this relationship is the crux of our film. I don't want to spoil too much about this. I will say I love this. This is easily within the top 3 of my year so far, possibly top 2. I may very well be doing a larger, more specific video on this. I already intend to do that with The Drama. If I come up with enough to say about this, I'll do that there, in which I will spoil what this film is talking about, because I think the film has a lot to say, and I have a lot about what it has to say, but I really don't want to spoil that for someone who's just seeking out a review. If you have not seen The Invite and you like dark comedy, or you like cringe comedy, or you like to be challenged in any kind of way, or you like art house, or you like any of these actors, or you like pretty much anything about it, I would highly suggest you go see it. This film did not get a huge marketing push from A24, and the theaters are mostly empty, and I don't think it will be in theaters for very long, but this is such a good piece that I think you should run out to go see it. Now, I was not joking when I said I watched this with my parents. I genuinely did. There is content in the film that would probably make people very uncomfortable to, watch with their parents. I didn't have that issue necessarily. I like being in really uncomfortable situations. I've always been kind of weird like that. Maybe I have some kind of mental issue. I don't know. But I feel like it greatly added to the experience. After the film, my parents, I was discussing it with them. They were talking about all sorts of things with their relationship, and they were asking me about things with mine. And I think any great film should pull those kind of questions out people. They should be starting discussions, and they should be, moving people and attempting to change them. There are some places I was worried that this film would end up going, and it ultimately didn't. I think it chooses probably the best route it possibly could at each moment. Some might call the ending fairly cliche, but I think cliches exist for a good reason, and here I think the cliche works really well. The ending is somewhat ambiguous, but our characters do make a very clear choice that ties into the story's themes. I think the real true heart of this film hinges on a monologue by Edward Norton's character that really ties the whole story together. I saw an excerpt from an interview online that claims that this monologue is largely improvised, which I frankly don't believe at all. The entire story hinges around it, and I don't think it could even work without it. I found that monologue to be very moving and personal, and I feel like it kind of highlighted and clicked for me exactly what the film was trying to do and say. Without spoiling too much, I think The Invite really gets at the heart of how self-image influences how we interact with others, how it pulls at our other relationships, and how our perception of ourselves ultimately influences everything we do and everyone we interact with. The film tackles a lot of taboo subject matter that certainly will not be for everyone, but I think what it's saying is too important to miss. I gave The Invite a 6 out of 6. I think this is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the best of the year, and I am going to do a much deeper dive on it.
6 out of 6, masterpiece.